I left home at 17 with a brown paper lunch bag with one pair of drawers and a driver's license. Not $1. The clothes on my back and one pair of skivvies and a driver's license, and my dad said, bye. Good luck, sucker. And I got on that bus, I cried all the way to Buffalo, went through the MEP station, they passed my physical, and off I was to boot camp. And I went to military boot camp, and after I survived boot camp, actually excelled in boot camp, became one of the boot camp leaders. 3 men got to be able to lead the whole platoon, and I was one of them. They chose me. And I led those men. And everywhere I went, God moved me in leadership. I was a leader there. I went to my next A school. I was the head of the class in the A school. I went to my duty station. And things just blossomed and things changed. And I remember the day I got to NMCB 1. Battalion of about 600 men. And at this point in time, I am so ungodly. I'm so lost. I'm so full of hate. And I was not salty at all. And I remember... I didn't know what it was, but until I got one in the mail. I got a Dear John letter. Did you ever get a Dear John letter? Well, I got one. My whole life changed. So I went home after boot camp, picked up my high school sweetheart, put her in the truck with me, came down to Gulfport, Mississippi, stood before the judge downtown, and the judge said, man, you guys are hitched. I said, woo, we got married. And one Friday we weren't married, the next week we were, amen? And we led one terrible lifestyle. Me, I was just did nothing but drink. My goal was to drink and throw up in the toilet. If I wasn't working, I was drinking. And if I could have been drinking while I was working, I probably would have did it. Terrible lifestyle. Put her through we lived in some rotten little apartment. And I remember I got on the airplane and I went to Manama, Bahrain. Came back a year later, picked her back up, brought her back down to Gulfport, Mississippi, and they sent me to the island of Guam. And I got to the island of Guam, and after I was on Guam for about a month, I got the Dear John letter. I don't want to be married to you anymore. I don't love you. I don't like you. I'm taking everything you own, and I'm moving back home. And she did. Cleaned out my bank, took my car, gave away all my clothes and all my furniture, emptied out the apartment, took everything. I had zero. Took it all. I got in big trouble in those days because I wasn't supposed to be mean and ugly and rude and nasty to her because we have a uniform code of military justice that says you got to take care of your wife regardless. And I remember I cut off my paycheck from going to that checking account, and she called family services on me and said, my husband abandoned me and I have no money. I thought, oh, boy. And it went from bad to worse. I'm getting somewhere with this story. Now, watch. So I finally go down to dispersing. They told me, the command said, you got to reinstate this bank account so your wife back home has money. I said, I don't have a wife. I showed them the Dear John letter. They said, it's not good until you get divorced. I refused. And when I refused, they refused. And then we had a big rebuttal. This is where they decided to arrest me because I had such a upheaval. And I was arrested and about to be court-martialed and kicked out. And as I was being arrested and arraigned and all that stuff through the military, the command chaplain said, or the commander said, you need to go see the chaplain. You got some real problems. And it was the day that changed my life. I went and sat down in front of the chaplain and said, I don't want to be here. He said, I don't want to be here either, but I was ordered to be here. I said, so was I. And he begins to talk to me, and he begins to sprinkle salt on me. He begins to ask me questions about Jesus, questions that I couldn't answer. He begins to talk to me about 10 Commandments and the laws of God and what's going to happen when I stand before the law of God. And he asked me all these things and gave me a King James blue Gideon hardback Bible and said, go read the Gospel of John. And I remember coming back to him, sitting in his office, and I said, okay, if what you're saying is real and all this is right, then I'm in real big trouble with God. And I said, what do I do? And up until this time, he's not giving me any grace. All he's giving me is law, judgment. You're in trouble. You're caught in your sin. What are you going to do? And that day, he told me about Jesus and how Jesus died for my sin and how Jesus would forgive me. And I remember big tears coming down my cheeks. I said, I don't understand any of this, but if you say that's what I need to do, then that's what I want to do. And I knelt down in his office on the island of Guam in 1992, a week before Easter, and said yes to Jesus. He took me out to the Marianas Islands and baptized me, and I celebrated the very first Easter service the next week as a born-again child of God.